Hello everybody, it's Foo here, and today I want to talk to you about the Pokemon Presents that just happened. Within this, we got some new information about some of the upcoming games. Most importantly, we got information about Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I first want to make a comment about a statement that was made right at the end of the video that said that ranked competitive battles will not be moving to either of these two new games, which is a little bit disappointing. It means that we're stuck with Sword and Shield for a little bit longer with no end in sight, really. That's the bottom line. But there are some things that will hopefully keep this competitive scene alive, and I'll talk more about them later on in the video. But first, let's talk about the big news, which are new Pokemon being announced for Pokemon Legends Arceus. Just a quick note here that Pokemon Legends Arceus seems to have a very different battle system to Pokemon Sword and Shield, for example, and the other main series games, because speed stat doesn't just determine who moves first, it actually determines how frequently you move. So the battle system looks very different. There's also battle styles, and I just don't think that we can comment more about how these Pokemon will perform in those games yet. So when I talk about these Pokemon, I'll be talking about it from the perspective of them coming into a main series game, because that's what I'm most familiar with, and that's what I'm really hoping for. Again, more information on that later in the video, but bear that in mind as we go into this. I want to talk about them in the main series games. At this stage, it's hard for anyone to say how they'll perform in Pokemon Legends Arceus, because obviously we know very little about the actual mechanics in that game. So first off, we have Wyrdeer, which looks really awesome. This is an evolution of Stantler, and it was stated in the Pokemon Presents that Stantler that are respected may evolve into Wyrdeer, and that kind of explains why it's not been seen in previous games, because Stantler's been pretty bad and no one really respected it, so it's not going to evolve. But now we do have Wyrdeer entering our games, and we know that it's a normal psychic type, which is pretty interesting typing. We have seen it before. We've seen it with Girafarig, Indeedee, and also Oranguru. So there are already normal psychic types, and I have to hope that Wyrdeer is different enough from these other Pokemon so that it can, do its own thing, and they all can have their little competitive niche. And I'm thinking that it's actually quite possible for this to happen. Looking at Stantler's stats, its highest stat is its physical attack stat, whereas all of these other Pokemon are special attackers. So that's one way that it could differentiate itself. We don't currently have any information on Wyrdeer's stats, so anything that we're talking about at the moment is speculative, but we can generally speculate looking at Stantler's base stats. And then I think Wyrdeer could go one of two ways. It could either go quite fast, because Stantler's speed stat is one of its highest stats, so we could see it kind of emphasizing that Deers are pretty fast. Or alternatively, we could see it going a bit more bulky, since this game is set in a cold and harsh environment, and generally Pokemon seem to have to adapt to deal with that. And it does say in the little bit of blurb that we have about this Pokemon that the fur shed from its beard, tail, and legs are highly prized and provide top-notch protection against the cold. I mean, this could serve to actually imply more about its ability, because it could have an ability that reduces ice-type damage, but it also could imply that this fur is kind of a protective thing that allows it to be bulkier. So that's one way of looking at it. In terms of attacks that it might have, Stantler actually already has a lot of psychic type attacks. It does get psychic, it also has hypnosis and dream eater, but being a physical attacker, I want to see if it has any physical psychic type attacks, and it does get Zen headbutt. But I'm actually hoping that it might get a signature attack, maybe something to do with its horns. That would be cool to see, but obviously that remains to be seen. As of now, it does already get some psychic type moves, so drastic changes to Stantler's moveset aren't really predicted, I don't think, and it could well stay pretty much as we see it already, but just with Wyrdeer hopefully having better stats. Another thing to note, which is pretty interesting, is that now that Stantler evolves, it potentially can hold the Eviolite, which is an item that boosts its defenses if it can evolve. So that could actually make Stantler pretty bulky, especially considering that it gets the Intimidate ability, which drops the opponent's attack stat. So regardless of what happens with Wyrdeer's stats, we could end up with quite an interesting Stantler, especially for doubles play where you can switch it in and get that Intimidate, and then have some interesting moves like Trick Room and Thunder Wave and Disable, for example. So it could be a really interesting support Pokemon. So I do like the fact that Stantler is getting a proper evolution. Now let's move on to the next newly announced Pokemon, which was Basculegion, and this is one that I'm really excited about. This is an evolution of Basculin, and I really like Basculin. I think it's a really cool Pokemon, but Basculegion looks even better. This design is awesome. One thing I did note was that this Basculegion has a lot of red in its design, and Basculin actually has two forms. It has a red striped form and a blue striped form. So there's maybe potential here for a different form of Basculegion, a blue form of Basculegion, or maybe even a completely different Pokemon that evolves from the blue striped form, just because this Basculegion form does seem much more aligned to the red striped form. However, I also noted that actually its fins do kind of match the blue stripe form. There are kind of elements of both there. So it may be that Basculegion evolves from both forms, or it may be in this region they only have the red stripe form. So Basculegion is a water ghost type, which is neat to see. We do have water ghost types already in Frillish and Jellicent, but these Pokemon I would imagine will perform very different roles. So Frillish and Jellicent are very bulky special attackers, whereas Basculin as it stands at the moment is a fast physical attacker. It can use some special moves as well, but generally it's a fast physical attacker. So this really differentiates them from the existing water ghost types, which is fantastic. The reason that Basculegion is a water ghost type is that all the Basculin that perished on their way upstream and couldn't handle the harsh environments, their souls actually possess this Pokemon and drive it onwards so that its body never tires. So I think that's some really interesting backstory there. In terms of ghost type moves that Basculin already learns, well, it doesn't actually learn any ghost type moves. So I do think that we're going to see a big shake up of Basculin's moveset, hopefully learning some already existing ghost type moves, maybe Shadow Sneak, maybe Phantom Force, but I actually can't see many ghost type moves that fit, like Shadow Punch, Shadow Claw. That just doesn't fit at all with a fish. So I don't know what this fish will learn, and I think it really hints that Basculegion will have a new signature attack, maybe a biting move, something like that. But I think that this Pokemon could be very good, and especially when you consider Basculin, currently it's actually quite a strong Pokemon already. It gets the adaptability ability in the main series games. Adaptability gives all your same type attack bonus moves an extra boost, so instead of doing 1.5 times damage, they do 2 times damage. That's like a built-in life orb on all your same type attack bonus moves. The issue Basculin had was it was a mono water type, so if you come up against anything that resists your water type moves, you don't have much else to go on. But now you've got that secondary ghost typing, that's really fantastic. It means that very few Pokemon will be taking attacks from this Pokemon well. Hopefully Basculegion retains that ability, because it would just be very strong with that, as long as it does have the ghost type moves to back it up. So now let's move on to the other Pokemon that were announced, which are the Hisuian forms of existing Pokemon. So we saw Hisuian Growlithe, which was absolutely adorable. It's fire rock typing, which we do have one of already in Macargo, and that typing doesn't work out too well for Macargo. You don't see it used competitively very much, and that's because it's not a very good defensive typing. You've got 2 quad weaknesses to water and ground, which are very common attacking types. The issue for Macargo is it's a very slow Pokemon and likely does have to take attacks before it can attack back, so that really doesn't work out well for Macargo. Growlithe and hopefully Hisuian Arcanine, which will hopefully be announced, are a bit faster and they're definitely more offensive, and Fire Rock typing is actually a decent offensive typing. If you can get your attacks off first, then you should be doing a lot of damage. They cover each other quite well because Rock type is, for example, resisted by Steel types, which Fire type can blast through, and Fire type is resisted by other Fire types, which Rock type can blast through. So they do actually have decent synergy in terms of offense. So we can only hope that Hisuian Growlithe and Hisuian Arcanine are fast and powerful enough to make that typing work for them. One really cool way that they could implement this is if they got access to the Reckless ability, which boosts the damage of recoil moves, and then gave them Flare Blitz, which they already learn, which is a recoil move, and then Head Smash, which is an extremely powerful rock type move with recoil damage. This would be an insanely effective combination, and I think it also fits with the design since Growlithe's eyes are covered so it could recklessly charge around, and I really think that that could work for this Pokemon. And then we can move on to Hisuian Bravery, which I think this design is absolutely beautiful. Really, really nice designed Pokemon. It's Psychic Flying type, which for me is a little bit disappointing. There are tons of other psychic flying types. We've got Xatu's family, Swoobat's family, we've also got Sigilith, as well as an Oricorio form, and Lugia, and now Galarian Articuno. So there are tons of psychic flying types. So hopefully Hisuian Bravery is different enough from all of those to actually warrant being used. And I think it might be, if it does have a similar stat line to Bravery as it stands at the moment, it will be a physical attacker and not a special attacker, and all of these Pokemon that I just talked about are special attackers, so that would immediately give it a niche, which would be very nice. It's also quite a bulky Pokemon, and this typing is relatively good for being a defensive Pokemon. So I think that it could work out for Bravery, hopefully. In terms of moves, it already knows. It does get Zen Headbutt on the physical attacking side, and what's neat is that that pairs well with its Sheer Force ability, so that you could get boosted Zen Headbutts with that Sheer Force ability that could do a lot of damage. So that could work out quite well for Bravery. Alternatively, if along with a lot of psychic types, it turns into a special attacker, I mean, it will struggle more to differentiate itself from these other Pokemon that I just mentioned. But if it does get psychic and it's got some flying type moves, all of these will be boosted by Sheer Force too. So it could be quite a potent special attacker if that's the route that they take. Either way, I really like its design, and I am looking forward to getting my hands on this Pokemon. Now, it was announced that both Pokemon Legends Arceus and also Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl will have Pokemon Home connectivity. So there's a good chance that these Pokemon, these new Pokemon, and also a lot of the previous existing Pokemon will be able to be transferred into Pokemon Home, and then hopefully with an update to Pokemon Sword and Shield, we'll be able to get them in Pokemon Sword and Shield 2, and that would really help keep that competitive scene alive, because if we have all of these new Pokemon to play around with, as well as all of the Pokemon that aren't even in the games yet, that would be really neat. There would be so many changes, and there would be a lot of like overlooked and underrated Pokemon that you could try out. So I think that that would be fantastic. I really am hoping that that happens. That may be me being optimistic, but I think that that's the best way to look at it. Regardless, these new Pokemon look fantastic. Pokemon Legends Arceus should be really fun, and I'm looking forward to it. One last note about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Though ranked battles won't go there, a lot of people really like Gen 4 competitive battling, and I think there's still every potential that we will be able to do competitive battles in that game. It's just there may not be a ladder to climb as such. But I'm hopeful that that could be really fun and something to explore as well. Please let me know what you think about these new Pokemon in the comment section below. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like, it helps the channel out, and subscribe for more content. Consider dinging the bell because I don't have a regular upload schedule, so if you don't want to miss a video, definitely do that. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.